Let's talk about, James, you're reporting in and around the Liddell Power Station. Now the rubber's hit the road. The New South Wales government is in a position here where they're going to have to do something about this facility because, it's the best part of 30% of the entire state's energy, yet it looks like it's about to disappear, not to be replaced by equal technologies, and they can't turn around and blame the evil Morrison government because Keane was pumping billions into renewables. Yeah,
they were pumping billions into renewables. They're also running down gas, making it impossible to get gas out of the ground. And this is the thing that everybody needs to understand. I had a long chat with David Littleproud about this, and this will be in tomorrow's paper. You can find it on the website now. You need gas firming power, or you need SMR nuclear or coal with carbon capture and storage, but that's complicated and expensive to make renewable power work. And the big problem, that we're going to start to see here, this is where this goes. You shut down Liddell, Waring's next in 2025. All of these renewable programs that are coming on, they've got the low-hanging fruit, i.e. the projects that are close to transmission lines. But now they're going to have to do tens of thousands of kilometres of transmission lines, which is going to add more to the cost of your energy. And here's the other thing. These solar and wind projects are going to be competing for agricultural land, bushland, national parks, all of these things, and there's a real social license that is going to come into play with these renewable programs, just as they do with coal, with gas, and with anything else.
Well, as we always say, ruin the earth in order to save the atmosphere. Here's what Penny Sharp had to say. She's of the far left in New South Wales, and now she's the energy minister. So no different than Keane.
The Liddell closure has been we've known of for a long time, and while it makes things more challenging at this point, the advice is that it's not going to be an issue with security, but the issue of prices remains a challenge. I don't have the direct in terms of as a result of Liddell, this will cost this. What we do know, though, is that prices are rising and that they're going to continue for a little while.
So, Linda, we all know where this government is, where the federal government is, where the great want of industry seems to be, which is to get as many renewables in as possible. But there's no breaking news in that. They've been there for multiple years. They've got to find a way to keep Liddell on because there's not enough to replace it right now, surely.
Well, I don't know about that. And full disclosure, I sit on the Energy and Environment Ministers meeting for the local government. So we all sat in this region pretty recently when we had a different colour of New South Wales government and had quite a bit of discussion about the future energy requirements of the nation. Here's what's important. There's enormous pressure on the energy requirements, but also on this region. And that's what I think is also not being looked at all. These mayors have come together in this region of New South Wales. They've called for a discussion about future jobs. It's not just the power station that's closing down. It's the meatworks that are at risk with about 400 additional jobs. This is what needs to happen. I can blame the former Liberal National State government till the cows come home, but there's no use. That's no answer for these communities in New South Wales who need answers about where the future jobs are going to come from and all of our residents about where energy is going to come from.
But when we talk about future jobs, isn't that always about...
So keep Liddell open then?
Yeah, there's always
that's not the conclusion, Matt Canavan. The conclusion is that all this work should have been done.
So what are you going to do? What's the answer?
We need to find these people jobs.
You're on this panel. What's your answer?
An economic development strategy done for this region to ensure that there is enough manufacturing, to ensure that the land we're safe can be rezoned and turned into land for jobs instead of just left. There's so many different things that can be done in this region.
Okay, let me jump in though.
Why didn't your friends in the New South Wales government fix it for the many years?
They're not my friends. They're not my friends. I've been very critical of them. It's a shame you can't be critical of your own side, but I've been critical of them. I've been very critical of them on this show.
All right, which
is that it's just so sad.
Yeah, but just before that, the central thing here is, and remember Albanese with his 500,000 jobs are going to fall from the sky. We all know that is always a pump up in the jobs in the building. The jobs in the maintaining, of course, goes right back down to almost single figures in the thousands. So it's all well and good for local mayors to say, hey, let's come up with this plan and that plan, but that's all the construction. What about 5 years after the construction?
Well, it's worse than that, Paul. Those 500 jobs were based on power prices going down by, you remember it, $275 a year. That hasn't happened. It's just, as I say, it is so soul-crushingly sad that we live in a nation blessed with almost unmatchable energy resources, yet we are here a few months from winter hoping and praying that it doesn't get too cold and the lights stay on. Now, it is probably too late to keep Liddell coal-fired power station open, but I've been calling for months that we should be mothballing it. We should be at least keeping it in a state where it can be brought back online. What angers me the most about people like Linda and others is their seemingly unimpeachable infallibility in their claims. They keep saying, oh, renewables are the answer, and there's anyone who suggests there's anything else is a complete moron, despite all of the evidence around the world. Maybe, just maybe, you might be wrong. And you should have an insurance policy to protect those jobs at the meatworks, Linda. And so why don't you, for those workers, at least keep Liddell, something like Liddell, in a state where it can be brought back online in case you're wrong? Because if you are wrong, then we'll have no answers. We can't just click our fingers and build a nuclear SMR overnight. We can't bring on gas fields just the next day. And so why don't we have a backup plan here? Because it's clear that the renewables only plan is failing us and failing us repeatedly, and many, many jobs are on the line here because people are so pig-headed and won't face facts.
Right,
We've
Linda,
just
you get the last say.
heard from the new energy minister saying that there are not reliability concerns. So we've just heard the advice.
How many
about
times have we
that.
heard from the experts saying that? And they're
And we've
wrong.
also
They've
heard
been
from
wrong time and time again. I
Tanya
heard the same
Plibersek
things before
in
Hazelwood.
the last 24 hours about the doubling of the number of renewable energy approvals that she's provided as the new energy
not gonna
minister.
matter.
So Labor
It's not gonna
is
matter.
creating all these jobs at the
Well, the
federal
problem,
level,
though-
and they're having to do that, Matt,
It's
because
not-
your
Linda,
colleagues
it's
in the
not gonna
former
matter, 'cause if you
Liberal
read-
national
you should
state
read-
government
if
here
you
in
read-
New South Wales didn't fix the problem.
All right.
If you read the Australian Energy Market Operator reports, it doesn't matter how much solar and wind you put in. We have a gap. We have a gap of 8,000 megawatts over the next decade. That's 4 large coal-fired power stations. This is not, this is really, really serious. But people like yourself and others that should know better, you say you're on this energy panel, I don't know if you've read that report, but the solar and wind will not fix that gap because it's not reliable power. It's not dispatchable capacity. We need 8,000 megawatts of dispatchable capacity. Where is that going to come from? It's not going to come from solar and wind.
Yeah,
let's get real here and start dealing with proper solutions rather than this get so angry with this bureaucraties that papers over these issues. Meanwhile, people who work hard and are in factories and should have a future in this country are left by the wayside because you're playing politics.